be sworn.
You swear to the testimony about the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Good morning, Detective Reese. Could you please state your full name for the record?
It's Detective Adam Reese,
And where are you employed, Detective Reese?
Metro Nashville Police Department,
How long have you been employed there?
about 18 and a half years.
And what is your current position at the Metro Nashville Police Department?
I'm a homicide detective.
How long have you been assigned to the homicide unit?
About 5 years.
And can you describe, were you assigned as the lead detective for the homicide investigation into the homicide of Jade Benning?
Yes.
And can you explain what does that mean to be assigned as a lead detective to a homicide case?
So in the homicide unit, we have multiple detectives, obviously, and we have multiple deaths that need to be investigated throughout the year. So we have sort of a rotation that we go on between each of the teams. So when it's your turn on your team, you're assigned the case, and at that point, you're the lead investigator. So you make most of the decisions related to that case and utilize the help of your teammates to assist in that investigation.
And are you just working with other homicide detectives, or are there other units within Metro Nashville Police Department that assist you depending on the case?
Oh, depending on the case, we may work with our Titans unit. We may work with any number of the investigative units, depending on some of the nuances of the case. The crime scene investigations, the crime lab, the medical legal investigator that works for the medical examiner's office. We spend a lot of time communicating with the district attorney's office about any homicide case. Other agencies sometimes even.
And if you could just clarify, what is the Titans unit at Metro Nashville Police Department?
There's sort of a investigative support unit that helps with like surveillance, tracking fugitives down, that sort of thing, gang intelligence.
And do you have supervisors that you report to and request things from?
Yes, our team is supervised by a sergeant.
And can you describe how did you become aware that you were going to be assigned to this case?
This particular week we were on call for after hours homicide call outs, and I received a call fairly late in the evening. I don't think I ever documented exactly what time I got the call, but it was around 9 or 10 p.m. on the evening of the February the 26th, and Sergeant Chris Dickerson, who was my supervisor at the time, called me and advised me of a case I was going to be assigned.
Which that is currently Captain Christopher Dickerson, is that right?
Yes, he's been promoted twice at least since then.
And you said that was 9 p.m. on February 26th, and that would have been 9 p.m. Sunday night.
If the 26th was a Sunday, yes, and I'm estimating it was 9, 10, sometime late in the evening.
So not on the 25th at all?
Correct.
And can you describe, kind of explain what the logistics were of you getting called and assigned to this case at that point in the investigation versus you responding to Vanderbilt University Medical Center when Ms. Benning was transported there by ambulance?
So we generally do not take a case unless we've received information that the victim is not going to survive. So if like someone is shot, say for instance, and the hospital says they're likely going to pull through, there's a separate unit that investigates non-lethal shootings and aggravated assaults, that sort of thing. We take it if it's going to be an actual homicide.
And when you were assigned, what did you do first? What was your first response?
Well, my first thing was just to get a quick briefing from Sergeant Dickerson over the phone to kind of learn some of the basics of the case. And then at that point, myself and several of my teammates responded to the headquarters where we had arranged for Jade Benning's mother and a friend of hers to be there so that I could begin interviewing them and finding out the circumstances of the case.
And can you describe why would you have them brought to headquarters versus going to them?
We usually like to do, as often as possible, we like to do interviews at headquarters because we have audio, video recorded interview rooms, and also all the resources available in our office for if I needed to look up something on a computer or print out something to show them, that sort of thing.
And were they contacted and asked if they would come?
I don't recall the exact circumstances of how they were summoned, but I know they came willingly.
I guess that was the point of my question. You didn't have to bring them down here or anything, is that right?
No.
And can you describe what information did you learn in those initial kind of moments of speaking to Captain Dickerson and also speaking with Miss Jade Benning's mother, Bridget Burks, as well as Jade Jackson?
Yes. So when I first spoke to Sergeant Dickerson at the time, he let me know that there had been a call the previous night in which the Domestic Violence Division responded. He said that there was a young woman who had gone into cardiac arrest and was revived either at some point in the process, and she was taken to Vanderbilt, and that a friend of hers had made allegations that she'd received a phone call saying that she'd been drugged, something to that effect, and that domestic violence had gone out and done some interviews, and they had gotten new information that she was not going to survive from the incident and reassigned the case to homicide, and it was my turn, so it was being assigned to me. So,
and can you describe your interaction with Miss Jade Jackson?
yes, we conducted an interview. I believe we started just a little bit after midnight, in the early morning hours of the 27th. She basically described her evening to me.
And can you, I guess, describe, was she able to give you specific details or what?
Yes, she actually was able to give me a very specific timeline.
And was she able to tell you specifically about the call that she received from Miss Benning's phone and what she heard on that call?
Yes.
And did she give you very specific statements that she did?
Yes, she did.
And in the process of your investigation, did you review her prior statements to other officers and Detective Smith and compare it to what she told you?
Yes, because there was a recorded interview with Detective Smith, I believe, and then there was also body camera footage where officers spoke to her at the hospital.
And was she consistent in providing that same information every time?
Yes.
And what, if any, other information did you have at that point?
I had information that she was in a relationship or something, and she was pregnant with Mr. Taylor, and there was some ambiguity about the status of their relationship, whether they were just actually dating or she was just pregnant with his child.
You know, I'm going to object to the hearsay in regards to what Najee has said, as well as the bolstering of the witness through other statements she's made.
Okay, I don't know what you define as bolster. Do you care to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Hollins cross-examined Ms. Jackson about one of her statements and said that she said something previously. She did not, and so I'm allowed to ask about prior consistency.
Okay, I'll overrule the objection.
If you can continue, you said that there was some confusion as to the status of the relationship. Is that correct?
Correct.
Objection hearsay.
That's just his opinion and why he's doing what he's doing. So let's get to where you want to go.
I guess, what did you do next, and did you gather any other information before you did what you did next?
Well, after I finished interviewing Ms. Jackson, one of my teammates had created a search warrant. He had drafted a search warrant to search her apartment. Before we went to the apartment, previously when I had spoken to Ms. Burks, she had explained to me that they had retrieved a comforter in which Jade threw up, but vomited on from the apartment. So prior to going over there, that was secured in their vehicle, their family vehicle, in a bag. I went out and photographed that in the back of the vehicle and collected it and took possession of that. During that same time, one of my teammates had acquired the search warrant for Ms. Benning's apartment, and then we went to that location to conduct the search warrant on the apartment.
And can you explain why is it that you got a search warrant? Did Ms. Burks give you permission to go, or why would you get one?
We wouldn't even ask, because all the information I had at that time was that that apartment was Jade Benning's and Jade Benning's alone, and Jade Benning was not in a condition to give us consent to search the apartment. So we generally get search warrants on every residence anyway.
Is that kind of a standard operating procedure?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first moment that the search warrant was obtained for that apartment. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I guess is that typical in a situation like this, or was this kind of an atypical situation?
No, this situation was unusual in that it had been with another unit who was handling it as a non-death scenario, then coming to us as a death scenario. So it was not typically done that way.
And Ms. Burks told you that people went to the apartment, and she said she had something from the apartment that she had to give to you.
Objection, leaving.
He's already said that, so what's your next question?
At any point did she, I guess, express that she felt like she had done something wrong by going in the apartment, or did they feel like they could go into that apartment at the time they did?
I don't think I didn't get the impression she felt like she did anything wrong, but she just explained to me that she named off.
Also hearsay.
Clearly heard.
Well, I don't believe that he's giving me her actual words, and I was just asking.
Okay, he answered it by his first word. She didn't feel that way, so what's your next question?
Detective Reese, is it possible that an officer with Metro Nashville Police Department that was at the hospital told them they could go into the apartment? Do you know if that's possible?
It's entirely possible.
Okay. And I guess describe that process. Once you got the search warrant, what happened next?
So we met one of our, there were some patrol officers that had been already sent there by other, I believe the supervisor. And we all met at the parking lot of the apartment complex, which is in the 1500 block of Lebanon Pike here in Nashville, Davidson County, where this evidently had happened. And I met one of our CSIs there, and I gave him the comforter that I had taken possession of from Ms. Burks.
And would that be which CSI?
Mr. Terry, I believe. And then after that was given to him, or maybe while I was giving that to him, I believe our patrol officers entered the apartment with a key that had been provided and cleared the apartment just to make sure there was no one inside. And then we went inside, and CSI did photographs of the apartment, and then we conducted a search.
And can you describe, were you present the entire time while that search happened?
Yes.
Was there any point that you would have been doing something else and not been kind of in that kitchen area of the apartment?
I wouldn't say I was in the kitchen nonstop. I went into other rooms.
And I want to show you what is part of Exhibit 16. Do you recognize that image, Detective Reese?
I do.
And can you describe, there are two bottles that are on the corner of that counter. Did you put those bottles there?
No, I did not.
Do you have any idea who did?
I believe that was Detective Samuels, who was with our team at that time.
Is that technically something that would have been done? Should have been done, I guess is my question.
No, because those were taken out prior to or during the time where CSI was doing what we call overall photos. They were taken out prematurely.
And also from this same exhibit, can you describe, there is a cup that is over to the right side of the sink.
Yes.
When you were there executing the search warrant, can you describe what, if any, relevance did that plastic cup have to this investigation?
At the time of executing the search warrant, there was it wasn't believed to have been relevant. The glasses that you see pictured here on the island were
You can circle them.
sure. These were thought to have been relevant based on the interviews I'd done earlier that night.
And why is it that those were the focus?
Because it was mentioned that they were drinking out of the glasses earlier that night when.
And can you explain what you mean by it was mentioned that they, what information?
During the interview with Nigella Jackson, I learned that she had stopped by Jade's apartment earlier in the night, and she had explained that Jade was having sort of a date night where she was cooking Alfredo and they were painting, and she was doing that with Mr. Taylor, and she explained that she loved Jade's chicken Alfredo.
Call going into hearsay, Your Honor.
Okay.
I was not needing that much detail, but
Sorry about that.
that particular cup, again, at that moment, did you know anything? Did you have Jade's cell phone? Had you had an extraction done? Had you gone through it and looked at the pictures?
Now, I think we were in possession of her cell phone by that point, but we had not had the opportunity to be able to have it examined, extracted, or go through the massive amount of content.
If this witness could be handed, I believe it's Exhibit 21. I apologize. 28 is the iPhone.
Okay, it'll be in that envelope. See if the clerk's back there. We need exhibit 28. Okay.
Do you recognize that item, Detective Reese?
The envelope is sealed. May I open it?
Sure.
Yes, this is Jade Benning's cell phone.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask that Exhibit 28 that was previously marked for ID be entered as Exhibit 28. Detective Reese, who did you receive that cell phone from?
I believe it was Miss Benning's mother, Bridget Burks.
And can you describe when you obtain cell phones, having the passcode, is that useful?
It is very useful.
And did Ms. Burks provide you with the passcode to Ms. Benning's phone?
Yes.
Did she provide you with information related to Ms. Benning and kind of what had transpired from the time this happened until the time she met you?
Yes, she had.
And did she provide you multiple details about anything and everything that happened with that apartment and or her phone?
She provided me, you said everything with her apartment.
Did she tell you that people had been over there?
Oh, yes. She'd explained that people had been by there.
And was she freely giving you as much information as she possibly could?
Absolutely.
And later, I guess in the investigation, did you receive photos from Ms. Lauren Weber?
Yes.
And I want to go back to those. Those are Exhibit 13. Do you recognize those, Detective Reese?
Yes.
And if you could just read out the date and time.
That's February 25th, 2023 at 11:29 p.m.
Your Honor, very briefly, I wanted to make sure that I qualified it before we went too far. I have no issue with the phone itself being entered, but not everything on it. So if there is something in the phone, I would like.
Well, we'll get there if they were planning on introducing something else.
I just wanted to
The phone
make sure I
itself,
made that clear.
it was already made an exhibit. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Reese, did you see this photograph kind of early on in the investigation?
Yes, fairly early on.
And do you recognize anything in that photograph?
Yes, I recognize the glass sitting there and the pieces of art on the counter and the painting supplies and accessories.
And this is the second photograph in Exhibit 16, in Exhibit 13 that was provided by Ms. Weber. And do you see the same two glasses from the other photos?
Yes.
And now I want to show you an image from Exhibit 29. This is after Ms. Benning's cell phone has been analyzed. Can you describe when you saw this photograph? Did anything stand out to you?
That photograph was actually brought to my attention by Miss Burks. She mentioned to me that this one was taken that night and mentioned something.
If you'll answer the questions, you'll
Yes.
be here till 3 o'clock if you don't.
Yes, sir. Yes, this photo was brought to my attention.
And maybe I should clarify, did Ms. Burke show you this photograph before you received the extraction?
No, I received the extraction. I just hadn't noted that particular photo.
Okay. And can you describe that cup? When you saw it in this photograph, did you associate it with anything at the crime scene?
Not initially.
But we just looked at photographs from CSI Terry. Can you describe kind of after you looked at everything and talked about this, what do you see here now?
Yes. After some time, I realized that cup we didn't realize was even there. And then after time viewing this photo, noticed it to be in the background beside the sink there.
Can you describe, did you ask anyone to collect that cup
No, we did not the night of.
and why?
We did not realize it had any relevance to the investigation. It appeared as though it had been just washed and put aside to dry.
And can you describe, did you direct them to collect items from that apartment?
The CSI, yes.
And after that was done, what was your next step?
My next step was I wanted to try to find out what we had going on. So there was going to be a series of tests requested related to items seized from the apartment.
Can you describe at that point on the 27th, did you have any clear idea of exactly what was going on?
Not yet at that time.
And so you said that you were going to run some tests. Can you describe at what point did you receive information from Vanderbilt Hospital about any laboratory testing?
I was eventually told that there was a secondary urinalysis done that came back positive for cocaine.
And was that the information you received, or did you have lab work with values and things of that nature?
I didn't have any lab work. I was verbally told that it was an initial screening done, it came back negative, and then I believe sometime on the 27th I was notified then that, okay, there was another screening that came back positive. I didn't know why that discrepancy was there.
And positive for what?
Cocaine.
And can you describe what are the next steps of your investigation?
I submitted a series of requests to test the glassware, the samples of some of the beverages, and eventually I requested that the lab test the comforter that had been seized to test the vomit to determine if there was cocaine in the vomit.
And was that done kind of later on in the investigation when you had received some more laboratory results?
The comforter was done, I believe, later. I'm sorry, do you have the Form 282s?
Honestly, I feel like we've talked about laboratory testing. I'm sure it's documented in the exhibit. I will move on. Who was the next person that you interviewed? Or can you just describe your investigation? At that point, what are you doing?
Well, later in the day on the 27th, I went to Mr. Taylor's house to attempt to speak with him. And then after that, I was just trying to have lab requests done to determine what samples were there. Also, early on in the investigation, I was just doing research as to, I was doing Google searches, trying to get some idea of what happened.
Prior to this investigation, had you ever worked a poisoning investigation before?
No.
And can you describe the specifics of this case? Had you ever had anything that dealt with oral ingestion of cocaine?
No.
And can you describe what, if any, investigation did you do related to those kind of facts of this case?
Well, in the first couple of days of the investigation, I did some internet research, just checking something that.
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay, he's answered your question.
You said you did some internet research.
Yes.
Was there information available on the internet?
Yes, there was.
And can you describe, was it one site, or did you find multiple sites with relevant information?
There were multiple websites from universities, government websites, and recovery websites.
And did you do anything else other than internet searches?
I reached out to a detective that I knew that had experience working drug investigations.
And the investigation that you did on the internet and speaking with that detective, was it consistent or inconsistent with the facts of this case?
It was consistent with the facts of this case.
And can you describe kind of what interactions did you have with laboratory testing requests and kind of all of the lab results that you know that we have back from NMS labs as well as MNPD crime lab as well as CFSRE lab?
So there was the testing on the beverage samples and the drinkware from the apartment had all come back negative after being tested at our crime lab. I did a lot of coordination with the crime lab director during that time, and it was explained to me that it was not within their capability to test the comforter for what we were trying to do, and that it was going to be outsourced. And I was told that would be outsourced, and I received results for that several months later. And then also in the shortly after the autopsy, I was advised of another sample collected at Vanderbilt that was being sent off for toxicology through the medical examiner's office.
Did you meet with Dr. Carney during this process?
Yes.
And can you describe, were you making every decision about lab work, or who all was involved in this case that was kind of requesting the different laboratory testing?
I was coordinating between a toxicologist with Vanderbilt, I was coordinating between Dr. Carney, and I was speaking with the director of the crime lab at the time, the acting director, Amanda Sweet.
And at some point, did a group of those people, along with myself and Deputy Moore, and you all get together to meet to kind of discuss what the evidence was in this case?
Yes, we did.
Is it fair to say that none of us didn't know anything about it, and we needed them to kind of educate us about it?
That's very accurate.
And can you describe, once you received the extraction from the cell phone, is that something that you would look through by yourself, or how does that work?
I usually would look through it in conjunction with one of our SISU detectives, which is the Surveillance and Investigative Support Unit. They do digital forensics.
And Detective Tom Miller is in that unit, correct?
That's correct.
Did you work with him and meet with him during the investigation process?
Yes, we work in the same building, so I would talk to him on a regular basis about this.
And again, Detective Reese, kind of at that early outset, you have the information from Nigel Jackson. Did you ever speak with Mr. Keontae Jones?
I did.
And was that an in-person interview at headquarters, or what type of interview?
I just spoke to him by phone.
Is it possible that he might not remember that specifically?
Speaking to me by phone?
Yes.
I suppose it's possible.
Did he provide you with information?
Yes.
And so, kind of in those early stages of the investigation, is it fair to say that you were unsure of the exact timeline compared to today, where Dr. Carney has given us a very definitive timeline?
Yes. Yeah, I was not sure of there was a lot to be discovered and found out and put in order.
And so can you describe what information, like what were you looking at within Ms. Benning's phone, kind of for purposes of your investigation?
I was trying to look for anything that might have been, that seemed like it might have been relevant to the investigation, because you don't always know exactly what's going to be relevant sometimes until you find something. So,
Were you specifically looking for cocaine?
oh,
reference?
yes, I was looking for anything that I could find having to do with drugs, of any that I could think of.
And I guess, can you describe, did you find anything in her phone that indicated that she had ever used cocaine?
No.
Did you look, I guess, just can you describe how much information was in her phone to look through?
It was a very, very large amount. Thousands and thousands and thousands of text messages, photos.
And can you describe, were there any references to narcotics at all in Ms. Benning's phone?
Yes.
And those references, can you describe what type of narcotics were referenced?
Marijuana, and on one or two, or a couple of occasions, a mushroom bar.
But absolutely nothing related to cocaine, correct?
Correct.
And can you describe, did you look at kind of the timeline of when Ms. Benning became pregnant?
Yes.
And can you describe, after she became pregnant, what, if any, references in her phone were to marijuana?
There continued to be references with the person, with the contact that I ascertained to be her dealer, but they were always...
Could that be Danny Weed?
Yes. And they always appeared to be her facilitating for other friends, co-workers, and things like that to get them marijuana.
And specifically, did Ms. Benning have a communication with Danny Weed on February 25th of 2023?
Yes, she did.
And did you look back at that and locate a message that preceded her contact with him?
Yes. Another person, I believe is one of her co-workers, specifically asked her to reach out to him to get a half, which I ascertained to be a half ounce, based on my knowledge of the lingo.
Did you speak to multiple friends and family of Ms. Benning?
I did.
Did you find any evidence that she was using drugs or alcohol after the time she became pregnant?
No, I did not.
And can you describe what, if any, investigation did you do related to Ms. Jade Jackson?
I reviewed her messages with Jade.
Were you, I guess, had you already decided what happened, or were you investigating to see what evidence was there?
I was trying to see what evidence was there to add that into my, factor into my findings.
And can you describe, I guess, the volume of communication between Ms. Benning and Ms. Jackson that you found?
They communicated on a very regular basis.
And were you looking at the content of their communications to determine what their relationship was?
Between Isaiah and Jade, yes. I mean, I was factoring that in. It was clear to me that they were close friends.
And can you describe what, if anything, was in Ms. Benning's phone related to Ms. Keontae Jones?
To Keontae? I believe he was only referenced with Nigeria, when she was coming over. That's the only time I remember seeing his name pop up.
So it's fair to say that they did not have communications between each other.
Not that I found, no.
And can you describe what, if any, investigation did you do into Ms. Benning's contact with Mr. Blaise Taylor?
Yes, I reviewed messages between them.
And can you describe, did you review all of them?
I believe I reviewed close to all of them. There were a lot.
And were you looking at the content of those messages to kind of develop a timeline of events of when things happened?
Yes.
And were there specific things that stood out to you within that timeline?
Oh, yes.
And you have Ms. Benning's phone. We saw that cell phone sitting on the island in that picture that we just looked at from Ms. Benning's phone. Did you ever obtain a cell phone from Mr. Blaise Taylor?
No, I did not. Well, not during that time frame.
Did you obtain any devices during that time frame of the early investigation?
Not from Mr. Taylor, no.
And can you explain what you mean by that?
Well, I just didn't get a phone or anything from him during that time frame. There were some obtained later after his arrest in Utah.
Was there a tablet that the Titans team provided?
Oh, yes. Yeah, they provided that, I believe, sometime maybe in the summer of 23.
And we've already heard testimony on that. Can you describe, I guess we're kind of fast forwarding a little bit, but describe when did you obtain a cell phone related to Mr. Taylor? How did that happen?
There was one seized incident to his arrest in Utah that was held for me, and I flew out there to attempt to interview him and also get some items that were obtained during a search warrant by authorities in Utah, and I took possession of those and brought them back here.
And Dr. Carney's autopsy report was completed in August of 2023. Can you describe what's the time frame of when charges were sought in this case?
The case was presented to the grand jury on March 6th of 24, and I believe the capias was in the system as such that the U.S. Marshals could adopt it and go look for Mr. Taylor in Utah, I think by the 13th. And usually it's not uncommon for that to take about a week to get in there, and I believe he was arrested on the 14th of March of 24.
March 6th, which that date is significant in this case, but this is March 6th, 2024.
Correct.
And that there were not charges up until that moment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And Dr. Carney's autopsy report was completed in August.
I would have to refer to the actual report. I believe that's correct.
That's what the report says.
Yes, that's what I would defer to, is what the report says.
Can you describe the cell phone? Were there other items that were seized that belonged to Mr. Taylor?
I believe there was some laptops and iPads, a GPS tracker. I'd have to look at the inventory sheet, but it was several iPads and a few laptops and a GPS tracker, and there were a couple of USB flash drives.
And did you locate a cell phone that would have been the cell phone Mr. Taylor was actively using on February 25th of 2023?
No.
So what, if anything, in the investigation did you do attempting to find information about what Mr. Taylor might have been doing on a cell phone?
I wrote a search warrant to search his iCloud account.
And did you receive a return on that?
Yes.
And can you describe, did you review messages in that iCloud return?
Yes, I did.
And were there messages between Mr. Taylor and Ms. Benning?
Yes, there were.
And were you looking to kind of sync those up with the messages on Ms. Benning's phone?
Yes.
And as part of that, I guess, can you describe, as you're looking through information, are you continuing to meet with and kind of discuss things with Detective Tom Miller?
Yes.
And specifically, was there something that you were looking for related to that iCloud account?
Yes, I was trying to find, due to the volume of information on there, I was trying to look through keywords for things that may have been relevant to the investigation.
And that extraction of the iCloud, did it provide you with Google searches?
Yes.
And can you describe the number of Google searches?
There.
Movie approach.
Okay.
What's your next question?
Detective Reese, did you notate specific things within the messages where, obviously Detective Miller has already testified in this case. Did you have additional messages that you reviewed that kind of related to that timeline between Ms. Benning and Mr. Taylor?
Additional messages?
In addition to what Detective Miller already testified to?
There were several, I don't know exactly what he testified to, but I reviewed several messages related to their conversations.
I have a 4-page text message thread. It begins on January 8th, 2023 at 1:06:09 p.m. It goes to January 8th, 2023 at 2:10:25 p.m. I would ask that this be handed to the witness. Defense counsel's been provided a copy.
All right.
I just read the first one and the very last one.
February 4th to
February 8th. Oh, that one. Judge, I'm sorry, I gave this to them to review so that we could look at them ahead of time, but the pages have been mixed up. Can I have that back? So that I can fix it. Do you have the January messages?
That's all.
We gave them back.
You gave them back to me. Okay, that makes more sense. I hadn't seen those. Yeah, everything got put back in the wrong folder. Do you recognize those, Detective Reese?
May I have a moment to look on
Or
the
he hasn't been given anything.
I'm sorry. I take it back. Judge, may I take a quick break just to make sure we're all looking at something? I did show these to them ahead of time. I showed them to Mr. Brand, but I feel like when everything was given back, they are mixed up, and I would prefer that they be in order.
Okay. How long do you need?
I feel like just 5 minutes, but I might need those back from them because, like I said, they're all mixed up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, your lunch is waiting for you. So if you'll step down the hallway, we'll break for